Whoa, legendary!
What is up, guys? Welcome to another Top 5 with Kris 05. A new set of nerfs hit recently, and now is the perfect time for me to give you guys a few decks that I think are great for climbing ranks and even legend. There are a lot of great decks out there right now, but I will try to give you the ones that I think are worth it the most. By the way, we reached 3,000 subscribers a few days ago, and I want to give you guys a huge thank you. You really are amazing. But now, let's see the decks. Starting off with Odd Aggro Mage. At first, the Odd Mage archetype took a more control-oriented direction, but nowadays the Secret Aggro variant is seeing a lot more success. The deck relies on a bunch of good 1 and 3 drops for the early game and transitions well with its great 5 drops and Jean Alive for the mid. The secrets in it make it very awkward to play against, and sometimes your opponents will be forced to skip their complete turn just because of that. Your buffed up hero power also does a great job at keeping the board at check, but you have to find the balance of controlling the board and controlling your opponent's face. Here's how the matchups look like for this deck. Your worst matchups are Secret and Death Rattle Hunter, Odd and Death Rattle Paladin, and all of the popular warrior decks. All other popular matchups are even or favored for you, so that is why this deck is a great pick for ladder right now. On the mulligan, generally you want to keep a good 1 and 3 drop and a secret. If you're versus a fast deck, keeping Arcane Missiles or Cinderstorm is great, but if you're versus a slower deck, keeping Jean Alive might win you the game. Versus hunters, the best secret to keep would be Counterspell, but versus other mages, priests and warlocks, Explosive Rune is king. Overall, the deck is really powerful, but you will have awkward games from time to time. It's not that cheap or expensive, but at least its legendaries are not rotating out anytime soon, so it has that going for it. Up next, we have a relatively new deck, Secret Paladin. This deck is really annoying to play against, and things go out of hand pretty quickly. It's a high tempo deck, and it is very hard to remove its board due to all of its nasty secrets. When playing Secret Paladin, you want to curve out nicely and do value trades with the board early on. You don't want to be trading too much though. Sometimes it is better to just go face and let your opponent trigger some of your secrets for you. After all, you have a ton of them, and that's what they're there for. Having such a sticky board guarantees you always have a target for your board buffs. Your biggest threats on ladder would be Odd Paladin, Wall Priest, Zoo, Control and Mechatoon Warlock, and Quest Warrior. Every other popular deck is more than fine for you, so you should be climbing with ease with it. For the mulligan, as I said, you want to curve out nicely, so keeping 1 or 2 1-drop minions, a Hydrologist and a Maul would be your best bet. Keeping Bellringer Sentry and Call to Arms is also a good idea. You only want to keep a secret if you have a secret keeper already, but keeping Redemption for a Righteous Protector or a Juggler is nice too. In conclusion, the deck is really strong and fresh. It's cheap and the games are fast, but be careful since Therum is rotating out soon. If you already have Odd Paladin, you might just want to stick with that and still climb a ton, while saving some dust. Next, we have another flavor of the month deck, Wall Priest. After the nerfs hit, this deck really started to shine, since a lot of its bad matchups got hit hard, while Priest was left totally untouched. This deck is horrible to play against, and you will feel helpless against it if he draws okay against you. Basically, you want to play out your taunts, and after that you start rezzing them over and over and over again. The deck has a ton of defensive tools to drag out the game till you get your combo pieces, and if you actually get your Oak Heart out for its full value, you probably already won. Mass Dispel is the real MVP here, so be careful how you use it. Having this card alone negates all of your opponent's taunts, so saving it as a finisher is the best idea more often than not. Here's how your matchups look like. From the popular decks, only Midrange Hunter and Malygos Rogue are worth mentioning from this chart. But in reality, Odd Mage and even Warlock are not the best matchups for it as well. Against anything else you should be more than fine, but keep in mind that this is a small sample size, and the deck is still catching people off guard, so these percentages should be looking at least a little bit more reddish in a few weeks. For the mulligan, you always want to keep your Northshire Cleric. Versus faster decks, keeping taunts like Dark Reaper, Grizzly and Ziliax should help you out a ton, and a Mass Hysteria to top it off. But versus slower decks, a Grizzly, Oak Heart and Spellstone should be the way to go. A Power Word Shield won't hurt versus any deck, so it is a safe keep if you ask me. Just be careful crafting this deck, since pretty much all of its essentials are rotating out in 2 months, and it is not that cheap too. If you want to hear more about this deck, make sure to check out Dexter Gaming. He's a really cool YouTuber and Twitch streamer, and he brought this archetype to Legend Rank 12 a few days ago, so his guide and gameplay will help you out a ton. Links are in the description. Moving down to Beast Hunter. This deck barely got touched by the nerfs, with only Hunter's Mark getting bumped to 2 mana, but it is still smashing ladder. You can get pretty crazy openers with a 1-drop and a Razor Maw, and an insane Hyena as soon as turn 3 or 4 is not something rare for this deck. The amazing early and mid-game potential and the never-ending value from Rexxar and Dire Frenzy for the late game make sure this deck stays relevant for the next 2 months. Your worst matchups would be most Paladins, Warriors and Odd Mages. Spell and Hybrid Hunter are not great for you too, but you don't see that many of those nowadays. Versus most other popular decks you should have no problems. On the mulligan, your best opener would be a Dire Maul into a Crackling Razor Maw. A Spring Paw with a Hyena can cause a lot of troubles too. Animal Companion is always great, and versus slower decks, keeping Master's Call will ensure you don't run out of steam too soon. Versus Warrior, Rexxar is your best bet, and keeping tracking is also safe if you don't have a good opener. Right now Beast Hunter is one of the cheapest decks you can bring to Legend, so if you're on a budget and you already have Rexxar, then this is probably your safest pick. You can check out my Easy Legend with Beast Hunter video from this card. And finally we have Odd Quest Warrior again. This is yet another deck I really dislike playing against, but its power cannot be denied. Its amazing early game defensive tools are enough to make anyone rage, and the quest finisher is quite powerful too. Games with it are not as slow as its odd questless brother, but they still take over 10 minutes most of the time. Overall, you just have to drag out the game and win either by wearing out your opponent or smacking them with the quest. Your arsenal of taunts and board clears will make sure of that most of the time. If you like playing Warrior, now's the time to do it, since both odd versions are doing pretty well. Here are the matchups. As you can see, it has quite a few bad matchups, but they are not truly that bad, since most of them are around the 40% mark. The only true counter from the popular decks are Cube and Mechatoon Lock, Death Rattle Hunter and Mechatoon Druid. Everything else is above 40%, so you should be doing well against those. For the mulligans, you always want to keep your Town Crier, since it's your only playable 1-drop, and Shield Slam is also safe too. If you are against aggro, throwing away your quest for something else is a good idea, since you just need to survive their early game and make them run out of steam, and go from there. Your early game taunts, Dinomatic and Reckless Flurry should save you from the early pressure too. Against the slower decks, finishing your quest early on is crucial. Stonehill Defender and Phantom Militia are great for that. A Super Collider might bring you a ton of value as well. Again, this is a very expensive deck, and the quest will rotate out soon, so take that into consideration when deciding on this deck. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope these decks help you climb a lot in the post-nerf meta. Don't forget to check out World of Duels for the chance to win cash from playing Hearthstone duels and tournaments. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video.